Hi! I just completed wrapping the first of 3 layers of overgrip on this racket. And in case you're wondering why I'm doing this, you'll need to watch my video, Custom Overgrip Wrap. In that video, I shared 5 benefits of using this application to customizing your grip. In case you're wondering why I'm revisiting this topic I posted 2 years ago, I just discovered 2 more tips to improve this practical application of customizing your grip. Alright, let's get into it. All right, so this first tip I'm going to share, and I gave it a name. It's called the reverse tapered cut. And I discovered this totally by accident. What I was doing one time was I was using the overgrip wrap to create a base. And what I did is I installed the overgrip with the side that's supposed to be up. I actually reversed it. And what I found is when the tapered cut was on the opposite side of the overgrip, it actually laid down more flat on the butt cap. So what I'll do is I'll show you what my custom overgrip wrap typically did in the past. So I did want to show you this and mark it so you could see where the overlap actually occurred on that first rotation as I wrapped it. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and share this tip here. So I have an overgrip which I'm going to use for the second layer, but this is the tapered cut here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut off that section and square it off, and just cut it so that the tapered end is on the opposite side. So what I'm going to do is measure about 5.5 inches. And again, this is on the other side of the grip. I'm doing this on the back side of the overgrip. And I have that 5.5 inch mark right there. And I'm going to just cut an angle from that mark down to the end of that squared part of the overgrip. And I'm just eyeballing this, but basically I'm just gonna angle it down until I reach the very end, and I'll leave maybe about a 1/4 of an inch, maybe 3/16 of an inch. So basically I created a taper on the opposite side of the overgrip. So now what I'm gonna do is do what I normally do is I'm gonna get my 1/2 inch double stick tape, and I'm gonna wrap that on the butt cap end. And I always like to wrap it from the opposite side. So what I mean by that is this first wrap, this first layer of overgrip started with the butt cap down. So I'm going to make sure that when I wrap this one, I'm going to start with the butt cap up. I just feel like it evens it out a little bit more. So because in the end, what's going to happen is the third layer is going to be that layer that's going to touch the player's hand. So with this grip, it's a 4 1/4. After I finish the third layer, it's going to end up as a 4 1/4. So I have this here on the butt cap end. I can take off the backing for now and just have it ready to go. And for the overgrip, what I'm going to do is use my 1 inch double stick tape, and I'm going to match the tapered end by angling my cut on the end of the tape there. And I'm just going to go ahead and match that right here, and I'm just going to run this double stick tape to about 4 to 6 inches until I reach the end, and I'll just cut it off. I don't really need to run it to the end because typically I'm not going to use this whole overgrip for the entire wrap. So in that first video, I go over more in detail what I'm doing here to apply this so it comes out nice and even, and make sure to check that out. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it off right there. And then I'll peel back part of this here. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this like I would a right-handed wrap, but again on the opposite side of the butt cap, so you can see that it's up. And I'll just start it right here. And basically I'm going to rotate it around and then show it to you what happens when I reach the first wrap. All right. So this is where I started right here, and then you could see as I rotated it around, it came right back to that end. So there's a very small area where there's an overlap. So I'm just going to go ahead and wrap this a couple more times and then just mark it off so you can see, you can compare it. So this will stay down there. I'll grab my pen here. So using this application, there you can see that only that amount was overlapped. And what I'm going to do is continue to wrap this all the way to the end and just make it flush so the ends of the overgrip are butted up against each side of the overgrip. And I'll go ahead and finish this off and show you what it looks like when I'm done. All right, so I'm done wrapping this, but I'm gonna go ahead and use my wheel roller just to really flatten it down, and then I'll go ahead and bring it up to you so you can see what the finished product looked like. But again, the goal was to get it as flat as possible, and by using this reverse tapered cut technique, there's hardly any overlap, which I was really pleased with when I accidentally found out that this will work in this fashion. So I'll go ahead and show you what I did here. So you can see that the entire grip is wrapped with this overgrip with no overlap. The only section that it is overlapping is this one section right there. So if you compare that to the first one that was overlapped a lot more than this, I'm really happy that I discovered this by accident. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap the third layer, the final layer, and this is where the next tip comes in. For this second tip, I did not discover it by accident. In fact, I want to thank my friend and colleague at IART, Roger Goff, for sending me a picture of what he figured out after watching my video. And for a lack of a better name, I'm going to call this Roger's tearing repellent. But Roger, if you're watching this and you want to name it something else, let me know. All right, so again, he watched my video in terms of what I was doing to eliminate the butt cap end of the grip from tearing, because typically when you're wrapping an overgrip, well, I have a racket here, so I'll show you what I mean. But it's that adhesive backing that typically comes with overgrips that you're gonna secure the end of the grip before you start wrapping. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this off. But what I did in my, the solution to that was that I would cut off that adhesive backing. But Roger had mentioned that he likes actually having that on there. In fact, I think a lot of players would not even bother cutting it off because for one thing, they might not even think of it, or second, they might not have a pair of scissors when they're applying it. So anyway, I have an overgrip here. And when you get to the very end, when you're taking off an overgrip, typically right here, this is where tearing can be caused by that overgrip. So, I mean, even if you're really careful about taking it off, yeah, this is really, okay. So here's an example of what I mean. It's, you know, just tearing up the grip. So you could imagine if you're using multiple overgrips over time, it's going to start, there's no there's no grip left after a while on the butt cap, and that could actually hurt your hand because there's no padding there. So so if you're not using my technique of cutting off that adhesive backing, this is what Roger did. So basically he just got finishing tape and just wrapped it on the butt cap end of the racket. So I have a picture of what he sent to me. But anyway, for demonstration purposes, instead of using the white, I'll go ahead and use a black finishing tape. So I'm just going to wrap it around one time because I don't want to keep wrapping it around and create a elevated butt cap. So I'm just going to go ahead and just get it flush to the butt cap end and just rotate it around once. And then I'm just going to go ahead and cut it when I reach that end there. I'll overlap it slightly so it'll stay secure, but So there's about a 1/4 inch of overlap. So I'll bring this here. So you can see that it's all around there. And this is the side that there's a slight overlap there on the finishing tape. So what I'm going to do next is go ahead and wrap this third layer of the overgrip. And what I would recommend if you're using this technique, make sure you start from the opposite side of where this overlap, because I think if you start where that overlap is, when you do remove the overgrip, there's a chance that it might actually lift this end. So this is the overlap side. So what I'll do is just always start on the smooth side where it's not overlap. So I'm going to go ahead and install this final layer of this overgrip. And yeah, I'll show it to you when I'm done. All right, so here's the finished product. And with Rogers tearing repellent, it's an excellent solution for people that prefer to use the adhesive backing of the tapered end of the overgrip, or for players that don't have a pair of scissors at the time and just wrap it like that out of convenience. So I did want to thank Roger again for sending in this tip, and if you want to change the name, let me know. So the next time you use the Custom Overgrip Wrap application, use these 2 tips to enhance and optimize your customized grip. Thanks for watching, happy gripping, and let your grip play.